Welcome to the Teacher's Compass podcast. I'm your host, Louise Schwartz, a former teacher turned life coach, and I'm here to offer guidance, direction and practical support for teachers and teaching assistants who are feeling overwhelmed or questioning their place in education. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Teacher's Compass podcast. How are you this week? Well, I hope you've had an enjoyable week and we have finally made it through to February. So if you are listening to this on release day on the 2nd of February, we've made it through January. We finally got there. Hooray! January always seems such a long month, doesn't it? But hey, we made it. January is also a month of reflecting on finances in our house. We tend to have a bit of a reset in January and have a think about money. So that's what our podcast episode is all about today. We're talking about money and we're talking about if you're thinking of leaving teaching, how money could be something that's preventing you from taking a leap. Maybe just because you're not aware of ways to make money or how your money is going to work in your favour if you do choose to leave teaching. Now, one of the things that initially put me off stepping out of the classroom was a fear of how I would make money and if I would be able to find a job that offered me as high a rate of pay as teaching did. As well as the school holidays, I think money is obviously the key deciding factor for a lot of teachers. Before we delve deep into this episode though, I just want you to think that money isn't everything. I understand that we all need to pay our bills and we all need a certain amount of money at the end of the month, but it isn't everything. And you definitely shouldn't put money above your health. So let's get down to the nitty gritty then. Money. I was on UPS 3 as a teacher, which is obviously the highest sort of pay scale that you can get up to without taking on a leadership role. And I also was receiving an SEN payment as part of my salary because I was working in an SEMH school. So I was on a decent salary, and at the end of the month, once things had been taken out, once the your student loans gone out and your taxes gone out, your national insurance, all of those things, I used to pick up roughly about just over 2,500. It was maybe 2,600, but around about there. So we're talking figures just over $2,500. That was what I picked up for my salary. So we're nearly 12 months down the line since I left, and am I earning as much money? No. You're probably not surprised to hear that, but at the moment, I am not earning as much money as I was teaching. Has that had an impact on our family life? Yes, it has. There are certain things that we've had to cut back on, that we've had to sort of change and make savings on so that we aren't short at the end of the month. But am I a happier person? Yes. So I think really what it boils down to is how much you weigh the money up against your happiness. For me, I'm not earning as much money as I was yet. I'm hoping that I will be eventually. But at the moment, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the amount of money that I'm earning. It's paying what we need it to pay for. And at the end of the day, I am a happier person. I can't tell you the amount of people over the last few weeks that have come to me and said how much happier you look and how much more you're smiling, how much more relaxed you seem. To me, that's everything. I am much happier and that's okay. Now, I'm really lucky that I work for my brother, or with my brother, should I say. So my brother created a software company and he's developed a piece of software for clinics to use, and he had got to the point where he had sort of enjoyed creating the software but then wasn't necessarily enjoying the day-to-day running of the business. So I've stepped in and I'm now running the day-to-day side of things, and he's just doing all the tech stuff that I don't necessarily understand. Part of that role, working with my brother, I am taking a salary from the company, which is roughly, I would say, maybe £600 less each month than I was earning when I was teaching. So I pick up about £2,000 a month, and that is borderline like the minimum that I need for my side of bills and payments and things like that for the end of the month. Now, this is obviously a very personal thing, and my financial situation might be really different to yours. But I think it's really important, if leaving teaching is something that you are considering, you have definitely got to look into your finances. You need to work out what you've got coming in, what you've got going out, and how much as an absolute minimum you need to be earning. Now, you might be surprised. There's probably a lot of things that you could cut out of your expenses to save money on. My phone contract has just finished and I've just transferred onto a SIM only contract. So instead of paying, while before when I was working teaching, I think my contract was about £50 a month, 45, £50 a month. And now I'm paying just £7. So that's been a huge saving for us as a monthly cost, because I don't have to have a brand new phone and I don't need a really expensive contract. I'm just paying £7 a month. So that's been a huge saving. There's other things you can cut back on, luxuries that you don't need that you can cut out if you really want to. We don't have anywhere near as many takeaways now as we used to. We don't go and eat out very often. We do treat ourselves to nice things when we go shopping, but those luxuries aren't necessary, and you don't have to do nice things like that. You don't have to go out and eat. You don't have to have takeaways. You can cook yourself perfectly lovely meals and still be happy about the way things are working out in terms of life. So sometimes sacrifices are necessary, but not in a bad way. You don't have to sacrifice your happiness. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to work towards, isn't it? You want to get out of teaching. You're thinking, right, what can I do? What can I save money on? This is what you need to do. Make a list. I love making a list, because making a list always helps. Get things written down. Write down, what's coming in, what's going out, where you can make some changes. And then you've got the information. I think once you're armed with that information, life doesn't seem anywhere near as bad, because you know what you've got and you know where you stand, and actually it takes the stress away from it. If you bury your head in the sand and pretend that money isn't an issue, then you'll never have a full grasp on it, and it's always going to be that little bit of stress that's going to really kind of tip your mindset and really throw you off balance. So I would definitely recommend writing down all those facts and figures and being aware of what you've got coming in, what you've got going out. There's a lot of different job roles that you could do that earn just as much as teaching. So I was having a look on Indeed last night as just a bit of research to see, in terms of pay per hour, what other job roles are out there that are available that actually earn as much as teaching. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list. This is just a few ideas of things that I picked up and thought, oh, that could be an alternative. So if you're definitely thinking that you want to leave teaching, have you ever worked out what your rate of pay is per hour? You might be surprised at just how many hours you work each week. And then if you work out what that pay is and divide it per hour, you'll probably be surprised. Now, I have no idea what the minimum hourly rate is at the moment, because it keeps changing, doesn't it? But quite a lot of job roles I was looking at yesterday ranged from between, say, £11 and £18 an hour. Compare that to your hourly rate as a teacher. How does that compare? Is it better? Would you be better off changing job role and having less stress and earning the same amount of money? Maybe with the potential to earn more, depending on hours that you could put in and that you could work. I've chosen to go down more of an entrepreneurial route, because I like working for myself and I like to be responsible for earning my own money. That could be an option if you're thinking of leaving teaching. You could set up a tutoring business. So as a music teacher, I do some piano lessons each week, and I use that to supplement my income as well. So I could advertise and have more students each week to earn me some more money. Are there any other skills that you've got that you could look at earning money from? Are there any sports that you're really good at? Could you set up sports clubs or go and work for a sports club that's already in existence and get paid through that? There's plenty of after school options that you could look at offering. And there's even things that you could do over a weekend. Now, roll into that, I guess there's family obligations. My children are a little bit older, they're all teenagers, so we don't have nearly as many after school activities or weekend activities these days. We just tend to be a taxi more than anything. But if you've got options like that, it could be worth looking into other jobs that you could do that aren't within the school week, Monday to Friday, 9 till 3:30. There's lots of other time in the week where you could work to earn money. I know quite a few teachers who have set up tutoring businesses, and whether that's tutoring online or tutoring face to face, and one friend who's even expanded his business and taking on other teachers to teach with him because he's got so many students in his tutoring business, which is fantastic. So that could be a really good option, particularly English and maths tutoring, 11 plus tutoring. If you're in a secondary school, could you offer GCSE, A-level booster classes? Things like that to bring in some income that you could maybe use on top of a part-time job role that's not got the same level of stress as teaching. I think when it boils down to it, what we really need to look at as an equation is money versus happiness. That's the simplicity of it, isn't it? Are you happy in what you're doing, earning the amount of money that you are? And if you're happy with that, then that is fantastic. Stick at it, keep going, you're doing brilliant. If you're unhappy in your current job role, whether that's teaching or anything else, then money's going to be the deciding factor, isn't it? Are you prepared to put up with that unhappiness and continue working in that workplace when you're unhappy just for the pay at the end of the month? Or could you look into some other options and other ways that you could make money and be happier? So I chose the latter. Yes, I was earning a great salary as a teacher on a UPS 3 pay scale, but I wasn't happy. And that drains you. It drags you down. And every day getting up and going into school, I just felt I could feel my energy just draining out of me. Taking that pay cut, being happier every single day of the week is far better to me than earning an extra couple of £100 every month. If you're thinking about leaving teaching, you need to be prepared. You need to plan it out, you need to consider your options, and you need to be aware of your baseline of money that you need each month. We're really lucky in the teaching profession that we can use supply as a way to make money and not be tied into any form of long-term contract. So this is something that I did until my brother and I had got to a point where I was ready to step into the business to work with him. I'd left my teaching job at Easter, but continued doing supply for about another 6 or 7 weeks until things were in place and everything was sorted. Doing some short-term supply is always a really good option for teachers. And I know of some teachers that actually even use supply as a long-term career. They don't want the responsibility and the stress of a contracted post, and so they use supply as their way of making money, and they can pick and choose what days they want to work or happily work every day of the week, knowing that they don't have the planning and preparation and marking that comes with a full-time contracted job role. I hope you've got some things to consider there, having a listen to the episode about money. Money isn't everything, and you can be happy without money. Unfortunately, you can be pretty sad and depressed with money. So I guess it just comes down to that choice of which you'd rather have. Now, I'm not saying that leaving teaching, everybody takes a pay cut. I know quite a few teachers who have left teaching and actually, after a time in a new job role, are earning more money now than they were when they were teaching, which is amazing. But just know that there is a life outside of that classroom, and money doesn't need to be that deciding factor on whether you leave or whether you stay. If you want to have a chat with me about this any further, I'd love to talk to you and maybe set your mind at rest and tell you that it isn't the be all and the end all. You can get in touch with me on my socials. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn now. Come and join me. Let's have a chat. And let's see if we can make you happier, regardless of how much money you earn every month. Thanks again for listening. I hope you have a lovely week. See you soon. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Teacher's Compass. If you found this episode helpful, click on the link in the show notes for some more resources and support. Don't forget to leave a review on whichever app you choose to listen to us on. Your feedback helps us to reach more teachers just like you. See you next time.